Hey y'all, I'm not really exactly sure how to start off this video. I obviously kind of look like crap right now, but I just felt like this was something I needed to do for my sweet Rocco. Cause I did kind of I guess you could say a tribute video for my cat Duchess, but this was 3 years ago, which is honestly crazy. But still, I felt like since I did one for her, I needed to do one for Rocco, and I really wanted to talk about Rocco and how we found him, what his personality was like and stuff like that, and then kind of show a shorter little tribute in the end. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I really have nothing planned. I'm just going to be talking off the top of my head, so it could honestly be 10 minutes. It could be 30. I don't know. What to see. So I hope y'all don't mind if I just talk a little bit about him. I know I probably shouldn't be making this video. I'm not exactly in the best mental state because he passed just yesterday. But in any case, well, I don't even know if I should say yesterday because technically it was a few little hours ago. But anyways, so I guess I'll just kind of talk a little bit about Rocco though, just from the beginning. So we don't know officially how old Rocco was. We never got that figured out. What we could assume is that when we found him, he was about 2, 3, maybe even a little bit years older, but he was definitely not puppy age. He was older than that. So he was definitely about 2 at the very minimum. This was obviously an unexpected pet. My dad is not the biggest animal lover. I feel like that's changed, because in his childhood, he didn't really have pets. So he didn't really grow up with that kind of animal love, but we were kind of scared. We were like, ooh, is he going to let us keep this or what? And when we got home, I remember very distinctly, we just went through the door. My dad saw him. My dad was like, who is this? And so my mom explained to him, and he was like, okay. And we're like, okay. And he was like, okay. And so, I mean, I feel like regardless, my mom was just going to keep it. But still, she just wanted to make sure that, it still went past dad and stuff like that. And it only took one glance of Rocco, and my dad was sold on that Yorkie. He loved that Yorkie. In fact, we always said that it was basically him in animal form. Just the way his act, his mannerism. Rocco wanted attention when he wanted it. Not when you wanted to give it to him, but when he wanted it. And my mom always says that's my dad. And both of them were very machismos, and if you don't know what that means, basically they're just very moxie, full of themselves kind of thing. So it literally was kind of like my dad in human form, in a sense, personality wise. Obviously there were some differences here and there, but that was basically it. So Rocco was a very energetic dog, and he just loved to run around, do stuff. He loved to go outside. If you told him outside, of course he learned that word over time through training. And whenever we tell him outside, he would be like, outside? He would perk up, and he would want to go outside. And he was just a very I don't know how to put it. I mean, all of our animals have had personalities before, but Rocco really had personality, as my dad put it. He was just full of life. I don't know how else to really explain it. I mean, he had this very interesting thing. How dogs try and get your attention and stuff like that. He had this boof. We literally called it a boof, because that's what it sounded like. Whenever he wanted to get your attention, he would go boof, boof, boof. And you're like, what, Rocco? What's going on? So you would know that he would want your attention. And he just, there was so many times where he would just get kind of pissed at us if we would not listen to him. If he wanted to go outside, you would let it is time to go outside. He would boof you, and then it gradually would just turn into a bark. If we weren't listening to him, we're like, okay, all right. But the thing is, my brother eventually also learned to take him outside. And if you don't know, my brother has autism, so he's not always, we were worried about that, because sometimes Rocco would be left out there for a bit, and we're like, oh my God, we need to let Rocco in, So, I mean, eventually we found, we tried to monitor that the best we could. Obviously, now Rocco knew, hey, let me go get this boy over here because he'll let me out whenever. And Josh, my brother, did. He always let him out. So we had to be very careful about that. And it was just, and Rocco was just a mess. I loved him so much. You know, I would tease him here and there. And, you know, I mean, I felt like, I don't know if I want to say he was like a little brother or like my little kid or something like that, because we essentially had him for like 10, 11 years ish. Again, I see my dates might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we had him for a long time. And so we're assuming that by the time he passed, which was a few hours ago, he was about 13. And so, like I said, he was just so full of life. He just loved my mom. Like, with my mom, they had this routine going, right? And he would always let her know when it was time to go to bed and when it was time to wake up. He would always, like, boof her around the same time that it was time for her to go to work. And my mom and him definitely had probably the strongest connection of the family. Well, that's a hard thing to say. I don't know. I mean, my dad especially did. I mean, this was like, I feel like my dad cried for the other pets that have passed, but this one hit the hardest for him for sure. I know it did. And I just always love to boop his snoot too. It's so random, but you know how you like to touch the nose, and like, I know he probably thought I was such a pain to do that. But that's what he would do. And, you know, he would always like to try and dig, kind of, when he would eat food. Like, he would take food to his bed, and then he would just kind of, like, try to hide it in his bed, you know, like how a dog would do with sand. And he would try to, you know, put it over, and we're like, Rocco, you're not hiding Jack. He wasn't a mean dog about food. As far as I remember, I mean, he would like be like, hey, you're not taking my food. But he would never growl. Like, he never growled. That is the thing about Rocco. I never once heard him growl. He got pissed, but he never growled, you know. And, you know, he got relatively along with my other pets who have unfortunately passed as well, Princess and Duchess. Princess was another dog, Shih Tzu, and then we had an orange tabby that was named Duchess. And, you know, Rocco in a sense was like the last link among so many of our other pets, our guinea pigs, our little assortment of barn animals over here. You know what I'm saying? So that's how he kind of like, I think that's why I also just heard so much, is because we know that kind of like part of the history from us is gone. But anyways, when we found him, I mean, I don't know, maybe Yorkie's tail is about that small, but it literally was like this small. And so we thought that it could have potentially been clipped. I'm not too sure about that. But that's another reason why we definitely wanted to take care of him and give him a good home. Like, first day he really got here, I'm not going to say he was the boss of the house day one, because he had competition, you know, with my other two gals. But he let his presence be known. Rocco was, like I said, a person who would let you know that his presence was around. And he loved, and like I was talking about earlier, he loved outside. He would run around it. And he had this best friend named Sarge, which is the dog next door. And they were just, I don't know how to put it. Sarge was a husky, and you can imagine the size difference. Rocco was not intimidated by big dogs. Okay, Rocco was not intimidated by big dogs. He would make sure that he had this like little Napoleon complex, honestly, but he thought he was bigger than life. There's this one time where my dad was walking Rocco on a leash, and, you know, he got Rocco to safety. I want to make sure before I tell this. But there was like this pit bull that like got out, and so it was like a little bit further away, but my dad could see, and so did Rocco. Rocco stood right in front of my dad on the leash. Of course, he didn't run off, but Rocco stood firmly right in front of him. That's what my dad was telling me. And he was ready to take on that pit bull. But obviously, you know, my dad wasn't going to allow that. So he got him and took him back inside quickly. But that's just the type of dog Rocco was. he was like a little guardian, you know? He was a tough little thing. And he did things his way, if that makes sense. Rocco always did things his way. Whether he wanted love, when he wanted his food, he would let you know. Like I've been saying, you know? Especially for pets too, like I said. If you weren't petting him in certain places, he would be like, oof, like, why are you not petting me? He loved his ears, like, squished, like, kind of like that. I'm sure it's, like, similar to when you use a Q-tip, and then people are going to be like, you're not supposed to use a Q-tip. Okay, people still do. But anyways, and I'm sure it was kind of, like, similar to that. I mean, obviously, I wasn't putting my finger into his ear, but just, like, squishing it gently, just kind of, like, doing that. And I know that felt so good for him. He loved that so much. And one thing I do want to note is that Rocco, I wouldn't say he disliked Knight, our newest pet that we brought home, our dog. But Knight loves to tussle. Knight plays rough, right? And so Rocco just was not about that life at this point. Rocco was too old. He was like, look, man, this is not for me. You do you over there. Just please don't be coming at me. So Rocco and Knight didn't get that much interaction. Rocco kind of avoided Knight when he could. And I know, you know, Knight is just playful. He's not really like malicious or anything like that. But for Rocco, it was too much. It was too much. So I know at that point, you know, Rocco was just like, no, I just want to live the rest of my life, man. Let me rest. Let me sleep. That's really all Rocco was kind of doing. Mostly this past year. I mean, he loved to still go outside. Don't get me wrong. A lot of the times, you know, you could still find Rocco, wanting to go outside, wanting to do a lot of his stuff. I mean, really and truly, until these past couple of days, he was just always like this. He was just so full of energy, you guys. So, I guess really quick, I'm going to talk briefly about what happened with him. Just, you know, very briefly. I obviously don't really want to live too much in this moment, but I do want to let y'all know that Rocco did pass away fairly peacefully. I started to notice that he was just not in his best spirits. You know, one of the things that happens to dogs before they start passing away is their behavior would change. And Rocco, he usually actually preferred to, I don't know if I want to necessarily say he preferred to stick from, you know, to my brother, to my mom, and to my father more than me. But I felt like if he was going to stay in a room, it would generally be with my brother, because usually my brother wouldn't like mess with him as much, maybe pet him and let him out. So Rocco was like, sweet, we got a good deal going on here, you know. And my mom, that was like her little fur baby, you know. That was her fur baby, so she loved Rocco to death. I mean, he was there for her for so many things, and he was here for us for so many trials and tribulations that went on, and he definitely served his purpose well. I mean, I hate to kind of say that, it sounds selfish, but you know, we definitely are very grateful for the time he was here with us, because it was some tough times we had to go through, and Rocco was there to help ease that pain, and we are eternally grateful for that, you know. And if he would also love to hang around my dad, because my dad would like mess with him. He would call him like Shocko Rocko, like that was his nickname. My mom would call him like Rocco Taco Bell. You know, he had all these different like little nicknames here and there. So he came into my room actually, and this is kind of like where we started to notice that he was just not feeling himself. My room's not exactly the cleanest, I'll admit that. There's a blanket on my floor here that needs to be washed. Rocco came on over here to lay on this blanket, and you could tell just by the way he was looking at me that he wasn't doing too good, right? I mean, he even came over here by my side, and I was like, what's wrong, Rocco? What's wrong? And like I was saying, you know, obviously he just wasn't looking his best. He wasn't doing everything that he would normally be doing. He would still go outside. Like I would say, like 3 days ago, he would go outside. You know, he was still very sprightly there. So we just noticed though that he was starting to get more skinnier and lethargic for no reason too, because he was eating here and there, but he wasn't really keeping the weight, you know. And we started noticing that he was losing more muscle mass. especially his neck. He had like a thick neck, and in the end, I just noticed how bony it was. That was like one of the biggest things that hit me about him. And he just by like I said, 3 days ago he was doing okay. 2 days ago though is when he really started to show the symptoms. When he would try and walk, he was very wobbly. He didn't really want to do anything. He didn't want to even eat food. He was lethargic. He would still drink water. He was lethargic. He wasn't himself, guys. I mean, he was old. Like I said, at this point, he's 13. And he just didn't want to do much. And I felt like we knew it was coming, It was definitely coming. And that morning too, we went to go do some stuff, and we actually went to go get some taco salad from this Mexican restaurant we love to go eat. And my mom got him his favorite taco, because he loves beef fajita. I know I'm kind of going on a tangent, I apologize, but he loves beef fajita, and he also loves pico de gallo, right? And so I believe my mom at that point got him pico de gallo, and we went to go take it to him, and we tried to feed him on a plate, but he wouldn't eat anything. And that's when I really started to break down, because I knew at that point he's not going to make it. Rocco would never turn down food like that. Never. He would always eat food like that if he was given to it. And I also want to clarify, we fed him dog food. He was always given dog food. We would just give him like bits and pieces of meat here and there. It wasn't his diet, but we just knew that was his favorite thing to eat. So I just want to clarify, he did eat his dog food. He did eat what he needed to. I mean, he wouldn't. I do also want to note that he could eat dry food for a while, but also probably like this past week, he didn't want to eat anything but wet dog food. I mean, he was even having trouble eating that, even when he was eating. So, we noticed that there was stuff going on, right? And so that day, I mean, I just basically, after I put out a certain video at like 6:30, after that, I tried to spend so much time with him, like as much time as I could with him. I was devastated to know that like one of my best friends essentially was going, and it was hard just staying with him, because he was just going, and we just wanted to make sure that we gave him as much comfort as we could, and we tried to do as much as we could for him, given our situation, given what we could do for him, and so he didn't. I feel like he definitely hung around for us. I feel like dogs are very selfless like that. They'll hang around for us to be there for us. And it was so hard, because I mean, I had to tell him like, Rocco, it's okay if you need to go. Don't be sticking around. I didn't want him to be just suffering, just because of our selfishness, just because we want him to be here. But by yesterday is when everything really started to take a turn for the worse, unfortunately. That's when we really started to notice, he didn't even, he drank water in the beginning, but afterwards he would start to throw it up. I mean, he wouldn't keep anything down. And it was hard, to witness that, because it's just hard to see someone that you love so much go through something like that. So yeah, I mean, you could tell that he was just going downhill, and I tried to stay with him. I from that Saturday to this Sunday, I stood basically up all night with him, making sure he was breathing. I finally got a little bit of sleep in during the daytime of Sunday. I believe I stayed up until like, I don't know, like 10 or something. I mean, it didn't even like faze me. I was just like so worried about him, and so I went to sleep for a little bit, got up here and there, it would be like on and off. I would sleep, make sure I'd be like, okay, he's good. But you could tell, like, his breath especially, just like you could tell it was really starting to stink. And I don't want to get too detailed with stuff like that because obviously y'all don't need to know. That's just like, I don't want to be gruesome about this, but you could just tell that things were starting to fail, things were starting to go, and it was just about his time, right? And then my dad was like, around like what? I think it was like 9 p.m. He was like, hey, let's go get something to drink. Let's go get drinks because we need to go, we don't have any drinks at the house right now. And then we go, and I had the feeling, I had such a huge feeling that if I left, something was going to happen. And when I left, my mom did try to call us, but I guess my phone was on silent or something because I was just telling my dad too, like, look, I really just want to get in and get out. Like, I don't want to be here all day. I just can't. I need to get back to him. So, up until that whole point, I've been with Rocco, through thick and thin, whatever he was going through. And then I see I have like 3 missed calls from my mom, and I'm like, crap. No, you can just expect the worst at this point, right? And then, I call her back, and I'm like, Mom, what's going on? And she's just bawling, she's just bawling really hard. And I knew at that point that he had passed. And I felt so guilty because I was like, I wasn't there for him. Like, I was there for him this entire time. But right up until that moment, I wasn't there for final goodbyes or whatever. As, humans want, conclusive endings, I guess. It's just sometimes it just always doesn't come out that way, But what my mom was basically saying is it feels like that he wanted me to go, that he didn't want me to see him pass, and I think he just wanted to be around my mom because my mom was there to witness the end with him. So I truly do think that he didn't want me to see him pass because, like I said, up until that point, I was there. I was there on the bed with him, just almost basically 24/7. Well, not, I guess it's not 7 days a week, but I think y'all understand what I'm saying. So we knew that at that point he didn't want an audience for it. I think he just wanted to be left alone, but left alone with my mom, I guess. So I come home, find out for sure he's gone, and it was hard. It was a hard thing to deal with because I've had him for so long. And we've done so much together. Like I said, he was one of my liveliest dogs. He helped me out through so much, and I just can't thank him enough for everything he's done. I know I could speak on this for so much longer, but I don't know if I fully can. I just keep kind of like breaking down a little bit here and there. So I think what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to play like a little bit of a tribute for Rocco. I feel like I've talked about him decently, adequately. So I'm going to go ahead and just show y'all, some video clips, not that many, but just a few. Some pictures that we took of him, and just so y'all can see for yourself what he looked like, how lively he was, and just like, what a great dog. He was an awesome dog. And it's taken me a lot to fully, I still haven't processed it. Like, I know I feel like I'm in the bargaining stage where I'm like, I wish I could have done more with him. I wish I could have told him how much I loved him. I wish I could have been, when I wasn't so nice to him at times. Like, if he was trying to get me up at like 3 o'clock in the morning because Josh put him in my room because he wanted to come in my room, and then he started to boof to go out the door, and I'm like, Rocco, shut up. Because, I'm like half asleep, and then I would just open the door for him and let him go out. I feel terrible now for, stuff like that, but I know, all in all, we did the best that we could for him, and that's really all that matters in the end. So, I'll miss him very much. Like I said, it's he was kind of like a fur baby, you know, like a child in a sense for me. So it was definitely hard losing him, and I'll miss him. I'll miss him very much. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this, guys. I feel like I've been rambling long enough. So I hope some of that was coherent. I hope y'all enjoyed my little stories of Rocco. And I appreciate you all for making this far, watching. It's definitely probably one of my most important videos I've made. Hope you all enjoy my little tribute that I put together for him. Thank y'all. So, this is my dog, Rocco. Hello, Dan. Welcome. This is Rocco. Can y'all say a little hi? Yes, look at him. He's just a little baby. I can't, you know what? Him and I have a feud sometimes because he's kind of a little pain in the neck. He looks cute, right? But he's very rude. Aren't you rude? Because when we let him outside to go pee, he never listens. And also, on that fact, he always barks at me and tries to assume, like, his dominance. Your grandmother's dog was named that? Oh, look, now he's looking at y'all. He's looking at y'all. You're looking for the camera. Do you have your tongue out? He sometimes puts his tongue out. I think it's to try and look cuter. But yes, it's my little doggo.
Atop the crags and cliffs, the air is thin. So we'll find a mountain path on down the hill. Meet me where the snow melt flows. It is there, my dear, where we'll begin again. Skip and stones, braiding hair, last year's antlers mark the trail. Take us back, oh, take us back, oh, take us back. Take us back, oh, take us back, oh, take us back. I've a friend who lives out by the river's mouth. He knows the fiddle's cry is an old sound. A lonesome bow, the creaks and moans of empty houses are songs like falling rain. Wind-blown buildings, muddy ground. The strength of water can sink a man. Take us back, oh, take us back, oh, take us back. Take us back, oh, take us back, oh, take us all that we have known will be an echo of days when love was true. Muted voices just beyond the silent surface of what has gone. Muted voices
Rocco,
just
look at mama.
beyond the silent surface of what has gone.
You want mama to pet you? Yeah.